I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Johnson. Police.
Present.
Wilczynski.
Here.
Pat.
Here.
Munns.
Here.
Bunkhauser.
Here.
Spears.
Present.
Teeling.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Are there any amendments to the agenda tonight? I do have one. I would like to move number 5 under Mayor's Report, CC 2011-59, to the end of the meeting after our executive session. Any other amendments?
I have one.
Go ahead.
I'd like to remove the minutes of Tuesday, May 10th from the consent agenda and just leave them for discussion, I guess administration.
Anything else?
On the minutes, are those for corrections? Can we table them? I have corrections also.
Okay.
Table them and maybe give them back to, seeing that Clerk Warren isn't here.
Well, you're going to want to know what the corrections are, right?
Well, if we table them, she would bring them back next time.
Okay, that's fine.
There's a spider.
Any other amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we do have some presentations this evening. First presentation is some certificates for our champion Yorkville High School State Girls Track 4x800 relay team. Ladies, would you like to come forward? Bree Stupford, Lena Palmer, Allie Hester, and Esther Bell. And not only are they state champions, record-breaking state champions, correct? In 2A. Anyone want to tell us a little bit about how the meet went? How the final track meet went? How you felt? What was going on? Don't be shy. You're one friend here.
We just kind of wanted to go for it and work together and whatever happens.
And a couple of you were on the 2009 state champion team too, correct? And last year we took second place.
Yes.
So very good. Nice state champions amongst us. First one I have is for Allie Hester, who not only was part of the relay team in the 4x800 meters, also took 5th place in the 1600 meter run. So let me read the certificate. The Mayor and City Council of the United City of Yorkville present this certificate to Allie Hester for representing the Yorkville High School track and field team and placing first in the Class 2A 4x800 meter relay state championship and also placing 5th in the 1600 meter run. In recognition of all your hard work and for your dedication and commitment to the sport of track and field, also in recognition of your athleticism, team spirit, and outstanding sportsmanship. Congratulations and great job. Presented this 14th day of June 2011. Allie? Next, we have a certificate of recognition for our green team, Alex Mulligan. Is Alex present? Alex, the Mayor and City Council of the United City of Yorkville present the Green Teen Award to Alex Mulligan for his efforts to protect the environment, educate teens in the community, through the promotion of the school recycling program, and for his work on the invasive species project. He organized the Safe Go Green Christmas tree and was material to the tree donation project. Also in recognition for your countless hours of volunteer work, commitment, and dedication to reducing the amount of waste in our landfills. Congratulations and thank you. Presented this 14th day of June 2011. Thank you.
Yeah, we're a high school-based organization. We got about 30 members or so, and we try to just educate the school. Just little stuff. We're not trying to be drastic. We just little things make big differences in the end. And we recently, if you've noticed, all the new trees and landscaping in front of high school, our club just donated all the money for it. And we'd like to thank Fox Valley Sandblasting for helping us make the lot to donate it. And then I think it was 4 seasons of landscaping for helping us with it. So big thanks to those guys, and I hope you guys like it. So.
All right, thank you, Alex. Okay, next we have a swearing in of our new sergeant.
A couple quick words about Ray before we get started. Ray Mikulasik has been with the police department since 2004. Ray is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He also has a master's degree from the ISU in criminal justice. And he is a current member of the Kendall County Special Response Team, where he is currently the acting commander. He is a master firearms instructor, a field training officer, and he is just leaving Yorkville High School as a school resource officer.
Great. I, Raymond P. Mikulasik.
I, Raymond P. Mikulasik.
Sorry about that. Having been promoted to the office of sergeant.
Having been promoted to the office of sergeant.
In the United City of Yorkville.
In the United City of Yorkville.
In the county of Kendall, aforesaid.
In the county of Kendall, aforesaid.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties.
Of the office of sergeant.
Of the office of sergeant.
Of the United City of Yorkville Police Department.
The United City of Yorkville Police Department.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Swearing in of our new deputy chief, Mr. Schwarzkopf, will you please come forward? Go ahead, read.
John's been with the police department since 1993. He's been on lieutenant since 2002. John is a veteran of the United States Army, which today is the Army's birthday, is Flag Day. He has a master's degree in criminal justice administration from Western Illinois University. He is also a 18-year member of the Kendall County Special Response Team. His last year where he was the commander. He was a member of the IDEAS Weapons of Mass Destruction Special Response Team as a team leader, and went down to Katrina to help during the hurricane. And he's also a graduate of the FBI National Academy Class of 42.
I, Donald P. Schwarzkopf.
I, Donald P. Schwarzkopf.
Having been appointed to the office of Deputy Chief of Police.
Have been appointed to the office of Deputy Chief of Police.
In the United City of Yorkville.
In the United City of Yorkville.
In the county of Kendall, aforesaid.
In the county of Kendall, aforesaid.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
The Constitution of the State of Illinois.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties.
Faithfully discharge the duties.
of the Office of Deputy Chief of Police
of the Office of Deputy Chief of Police
of the United City of Yorkville Police Department
of the United City of Yorkville Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. The boss. The boss up here. Yeah. Chin up. That's good. Thank you, guys. All right, thank you, everybody. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll move forward with citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens in the audience who would like to comment tonight? Please step forward, state your name for the record, and please sign in.
Oh, you're so great.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the council tonight.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Sure. Todd Millen, 61 Cotswold Drive, Yorkville. I'm going to start off with stating a few facts and then proceed to a message I'd like to read. City Council as a whole has approved one of its goals in 2009, the implementation of the bike trail / pedestrian walkway throughout the city. Spears, Golinsky, Gilson sent mixed messages to the state. The council approved the integrated transportation plan. $100,000 of state grant money was spent for that plan to put bike trails and pedestrian walkways throughout our city. Gilson and Spears voted for this. Mr. Golinsky was absent, but he volunteered to join Wally Woodridge to serve on that committee to come up with ways to implement that plan. He said he was going to make sure it would happen. He never came up with any ideas to implement and actually help shoot it down. IDOT held many public hearings on Route 47 project, collecting public input. No one ever came out against the bike trail, pedestrian walkways during that period of time when those hearings were held. Ms. Spears has circulated a petition in years past to get Route 47 widened. Why didn't the IDOT tell the city about the $30,000? That you're going to be asked to vote about or discuss tonight? Because this expense wasn't part of the existing agreement. It was a result of this council's anti-trend meddling in a project that was ready to move forward. It's like if you're building a house and at the last moment want to redesign the kitchen after the blueprints are done. You can do it, but you're going to have to pay for that change in the plans. It took 10 years to get IDOT to come back to Yorkville after they were run out of town by a former mayor who told them they didn't want Route 47 widened years ago. They widened state routes through Oswego, jumped over Yorkville, and went to Plano, and widened 34 there. Our Route 47 is backed up for miles. It's not only an inconvenience, it's a safety issue. Now when IDOT comes back, willing to try to work with the city again on all our state routes, we've given them another hard time and mixed messages. We made ourselves look ridiculous. You made a decision not to accept the funding from an outside source without doing your homework and getting all the facts. You made that decision just because you don't want trails to happen. You don't want to let other guys win, and you don't want to admit that you don't know what you're doing. Here's what you're doing. You're messing up badly. The referendum wasn't on bike trails. It was on raising taxes to put them in. A lot of your constituents said they were for trails, but they didn't want their taxes raised to get them. You seem to also be forgetting that 2,000 plus people who in November voted for those trails. even in tough economic times. You say you're for economic development, but you don't have a clue on how to get there. You're following Mr. Gilson, who's got a stellar economic development record. Let's see. During this time in office, he has tried to close down a long-time truck stop on the south side. He tried to keep a new car collision repair center from coming in. And what's really strange, these physical conservatives are supposed to be for an open market system. I guess they are until it starts interfering with their own personal political agendas. Mr. Gilson was against the off-track betting facility and the buyout of a subdivision on the city's west side so it could go forward and continue to build under a new owner. He was against purchasing the old jail for a museum because he was sure it would cost the city money. That didn't happen. And he's against bike trails. With that kind of leadership, we should go far. Thanks to the White Powder Park, not Alderman Gilson and company, there's development interest in our downtown, in spite of your backwards, dig a hole, and jump in thinking. We'll see new development down there because there's something progressive going on down there. But I don't think anyone's going to want to move to one of our subdivisions until that development happens. You're being asked to spend $30,000 tonight for absolutely no benefit to this community and its residents whatsoever. You recently gave caring citizens that wanted to help a big thumbs down for wanting to help fund a vital infrastructure improvement to our community. Gary, again, you helped with that integrated transportation plan, yet you're unwilling to support your own work product. Rose, you voted for it too. It was a city goal, also supported by several other aldermen on the council that were retained. Again, Rose, you went as far to circulate a petition for widening of Route 47. The state of Illinois has passed a law that embraces and funds shared use path, and every municipality to date has opted to go along with this new state law, and it's very liberal funding to make updates to roads that are designed accordingly. This is your physical conservative baby that has made Yorkville a misfit in the eyes of IDOT. It's happened before the Trask administration term of office, when former elected city leaders of Yorkville told IDOT to go elsewhere. Those city leaders told IDOT they did not want Route 47 to be widened, and then IDOT accommodated Yorkville. We have been paying for this short-sightedness since. It was dumb, backwards, and foolish then, and it's dumb, backwards, and foolish now. You have a memo dated June 9th that clearly states that if you choose to cut off your nose to spite your face based upon principle, that you now risk not only delaying the Route 47 widening, you will very well may kill this major IDOT project altogether while spending $30,000 on nothing. You have the money in the budget, and the needed funds can be found if you all so-called physically conservative aldermen that are on the dole choose to be physically conservative and opt out of the city benefits you are now receiving. That would save $100,000 that could be reallocated for this IDOT project. Why is it that no one will here publicly state they have enrolled and have city benefits that cost the taxpayers of this town in excess of $100,000 annually? It's a controllable expense, and you are the ones with that control. Walk the walk. Lead by example. Make a difference, and look to the future instead of only looking out for your own well-being and benefit. Why do you continue to subsidize seniors that have the ability to pay their full share for garbage collection? Another $100,000 plus expense to the taxpayer of Yorkville. You have the ability to find the money to keep this IDOT project as engineered and on schedule and on track. This is just phase one, step one of what will be 5 planned IDOT projects to improve the major roads in Yorkville. Route 47, Route 34, and Route 71. Mess and try to tinker with this first IDOT project. Go ahead, screw it up. And all the hard work, lobbying, and goodwill achieved to get this first IDOT improvement project off the ground goes down the toilet, and it'll take another 5 plus IDOT projects in the planning stage with it. There's a plan in place. Embrace it, work for the good of this community, or you can choose to be dumb, backward, and stupid again, permanently stunning this community and causing unbearable gridlock for another 10 plus years. When you flush and spend $30,000 for nothing, you will flush all 5 projects collectively. Embrace the future and embrace the work that has been done to date. Let's get Route 47 widened now. Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Please sign in, state your name for the record.
Good evening, Your Honor, and members of this Honorable Council. Your Honor, I would like to go back to last city's council meeting on the 24th of May, 2011, in which the topic of the watershed project came up. Your Honor, Dr. Ariel Friedman perhaps said it best when he referred to the selling of a public federal bill enacted into law that will affect all Americans. In his statement, Dr. Friedman refers to George Orwell's 1984, in which the government uses a lovely, soothing voice to sell an ugly idea that may yield unintended consequences and affect the lives of all of our citizens. Your Honor, I ask that you make a mental note of the Illinois license plate for a moment. Your Honor, while I admire the desire of our youth to serve in our community, I cannot fully express the concerns and objections that I have with allowing of the federal government on our lands for a project. Mr. Mayor, members of this Honorable Council, I begin with the Speaker's presentation for the justification of such a project by naming off a list of potential threats and dangers along with describing the wild geese using the waterway for personal waste dump. Members of this Honorable Council and my fellow citizens, I have a friend who is part Cherokee and resides in Englewood, Tennessee, who has a friend who once owned a beautiful piece of land that lay out in the middle of a waterway or wide stream. The man owned the land for many years and enjoyed going out to it in times of solace. One day the stream began to crest and the water rose above a certain watermark. The United States government entered in and deemed the piece of land dangerous and unsuitable for human habitat, and in a noble effort forced the man to sell the piece of land and forced him off for his own safety. Just a few years later, the land was sold by the federal government to a land developer who built several expensive homes on the land and sold them at a profit. Your Honor, at the time of sale, the watermark was higher than the original watermark when the original owner was forced to sell. The Speaker noted that the water project would protect us from fecal matter of the geese that may often live there. Members of the Honorable Council, I object to such a project based on the following points. The United States federal government has shut down the water supply line in California to save the Delta smell. The act has forced thousands of produce farmers out of business, and the only comfort was given to them was by Nancy Pelosi, who stated that the government was importing carrots from the People's Republic of China to help feed the farmers in addition to food stamps and unemployment checks. On May 30th, 2011, news broke out that new oil wells in the state of Texas may be halted to protect a 3-inch lizard. I then submit to this council that geese are protected under the Federal Migratory Bird Act of 1918, and that obtaining a federal permit to disturb the species is not only hypocritical but unconstitutional. Under the 7th Amendment of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution makes a reference to common law or law based on past practice and precedent. The government could then attempt, by practice, to exert its force in controlling any existing activity along any waterfront where the federal government has spent federal dollars. I further believe that the monies being offered for this project came from the Failed Recovery Act of 2009, signed into law by President Barack Obama. Your Honor, despite Senator Dick Durbin having supported this act, I submit to you that these federal dollars are the property of the American people, and that us spending those dollars to yield nothing of value in return show that we indeed were being poor stewards of the American people's hard-earned money. The project neither establishes justice nor ensures our domestic tranquility, nor does it provide for our common defense, general welfare, or provide blessings of any kind. To the contrary, it places a piece of our property under the auspices of the United States federal government that in the future could yield unintended consequences at our expense, or worse yet, to future generations. In addition, the confiscation of the property of all immigrants, and this is the fourth plank of communism, means of land confiscation, undefined. The city's lands and territories are paid for and maintained with taxpayer dollars, and are therefore property of the city of Yorkville and its citizens, and not the federal government. Your Honor, I remind that our city has invested a great amount of money in building the kayak park, and that our citizens and visitors enjoy kayaking, canoeing, boating, and fishing, with other activities could be restricted, if not altogether eliminated by federal law, if the federal government is allowed to get a foothold in our community, and as I cited in the cases before. Your Honor, members of this honorable council, the media, and all those present, we are the people. We, the people, are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. These, then, are not the words of a militant, a revolutionary, the words of a madman, nor are they words of an angry American. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the words of our very own beloved President Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States of America. And I now ask that you remember these words whenever you look at your license plates emitting the words, Land of Lincoln. I then wish to send a message to Illinois Attorney General Lisa Madigan, Governor Pat Quinn, Senator Dick Durbin, and the President of the United States that I will not comply. I thank you, Your Honor, and I yield the floor back to you and this honorable council.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Please sign in and state your name for the record.
Lisa Peterson, Adrian Street, Yorkville. Just a couple of general comments. I don't have anything prepared. A couple of different things. I sat in at the Park District meeting. And just a couple of comments I want to make to the council. And that is, as a private citizen, I don't feel that it's my responsibility to provide recreation facilities for the whole entire town, and even the non-residents as well. And this is something that maybe at the time seemed like a good idea, but it's been proven that it's lost the city a significant amount of money. And if they cannot, I think it's been determined that they're not going to renegotiate the lease as is or re-sign it as is. But unless the city can break even on it, I just cannot justify the rec center. If it's going to operate at a loss for another 5 or 10 years until the city's in a position that they can afford to buy the building, I can't justify it. These are tough economic times, and part of that goes back to the whole bike trail thing. I don't know how this $30,000 suddenly came into play. It's my understanding this $30,000 is completely separate from whether IDOT's going to widen 47 or not. I don't think this $30,000 has any bearing on IDOT canceling the project to widen Route 47. But I don't even know how the stupid bike referendum came up that it was had to be turned over to the homeowners or the residents for a vote. You know, if this was something that the city wanted to do and they had the funds to provide for it, you know, and they wanted to take a vote to do it for the residents, but the city came up short and they didn't have the money. Going back, don't mean to keep flip-flopping, but sitting in that Park District meeting and listening to the money that was being pulled out of the general fund to subsidize the rec center and the park budget and everything, I was hearing amounts of like $1 million a year. That would have paid practically for the sewer bonds. I mean, the city can't afford to pay its bills, so you had to raise everybody's property taxes by $300 to cover this sewer bond. But yet you're taking almost $1 million out of a general fund to cover a rec center. I mean, there was one comment made at the park meeting that something about kids running around on the street, and it's like, I resented that comment. It's based in fear, that, this is what's going to happen to our town. We're going to have gangs of, teenagers terrorizing the town. If you're a parent and you work, you need to provide for your child, a daycare or something. Or, I'm sorry, but, as a parent, you need to be responsible for your offspring. You need to know where they're at and who they're with and what they're doing all the time. You don't let your kid just run in the neighborhood. It's not my responsibility as a private citizen to provide for a basketball court so we don't have kids running in the neighborhood. I mean, that's not my job. That's not my place. And I got up and I addressed the city council back in December, and these are tough economic times, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. It's time to tighten the belts and take some fiscal conservatism with regard to the budget. I mean, right now the city's not even self-sufficient. It can't even pay its own bills. So any extras at this point, the streets in our neighborhood are literally disintegrating and falling apart. And the roads that I have to use 24/7, 365 days a year to get me safely to and from work, my son safely to and from school, to me are much more important than a bike trail or a rec center facility. And I just think it's time for the city council to really knuckle down and decide what is necessary for the city and what is not. We need more police officers, we need newer police cars. Those are necessities to me. The rec center and the bike trails are not. And to me, that's a mark of a good leader, when they can take a position with something and, say at the good time, okay, this sounds like a good idea. But later, when they realize that it's cost more money than it's worth, or it's not what the residents want, to reverse their position. That, to me, is the mark of a great leader. That they're willing to listen to the people and say, okay, we tried this, we wanted this, we thought it would work, we realize now it's a mistake, it cost us too much money, the residents don't want it, we're going to listen to the residents and we're going to give them what they want. That, to me, is the mark of a great politician, is that they're willing to represent the people. Each and every one of you, you're sitting in these chairs because the residents voted for you to represent our best interest. Twice, the residents have voted and told you, no, we don't want these bike trails. And I think any council member that disregards that maybe shouldn't be sitting in their seats. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. And I just urge this council to continue to practice financial responsibility to the residents of this town and to provide for the residents of this town with regards to safe roads, police protection, and the things that are truly necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Anyone else? All right, moving forward. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Any comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Louisville.
Aye.
Milszewski.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Gilson. Teeling.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, mayor's report. First item, I will entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Molly Schwarzkopf as Freedom of Information Officer.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Milszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Louisville.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is an ordinance approving an extension of the water infrastructure improvement and maintenance fee. So I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances providing for an extension of the water infrastructure improvement and maintenance fee and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, the fee remains the same, we're just extending it, is that correct?
Correct. And we did some analysis with the staff, because we did put a sunset clause on it, so we look at it year after year. We looked at reducing it, eliminating it. I mean, this is one thing I want to get rid of as soon as possible, but even reducing it a little bit was detrimental to the water fund. So again, there's another sunset clause on it for another year. Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
Munns.
Aye.
Milszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Weissemo.
Aye.
Spears.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item is motion to approve an MFT appropriations resolution for 2011 miscellaneous bituminous patching and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Comments or questions on this?
Yeah, I had a question. As far as this $50,000 for the patching, and I think it's $55,000, actually, we're going 10% over. Was this already budgeted in the budget for last year? So this is not in addition to, this is just a reappropriation?
Correct. There's two parts to spend any MFT monies. One is budget authorization, and the second is this MFT authorization. So it's been approved at 50, and IDOT just recommends a 10% contingency. That way we don't have to go back to them should we decide to spend more money. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Milszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Weissemo.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is informational item on the bike trails for Route 47. As was discussed a little bit, IDOT got wind of the last city council meeting and our desire not to accept the bike paths or fund the 20% of it. And they asked for a meeting with the city administrator. They had come in and expressed their concern with it because they had already engineered, acquired right-of-way, and had put that in their plans per the city's direction back in 2008. So basically they said that, in order to remove these trails, the city would be responsible for the engineering costs to the tune of $30,000, and it may push back the time frame for the project, 6 to 9 months, which could put it into another fiscal year as far as construction funds and puts the funding in jeopardy. That's the information we have at hand. Open it up to comments, questions, concerns.
What's the time frame on this, Mr. Mayor? I mean, would they need an answer by when? Do we know that?
The state is going to ask us to commit to everything with the agreement by September. So, we can take as much time up until then to let them know. It's just, if we let them know in September that we want to remove the trails, it's going to be 6 to 9 months from that point. So, they are waiting for us to either reaffirm leaving the trails in or to reaffirm our last direction, which was to take the trails out. So it's just they can only move as fast as our direction allows.
I don't know if anyone had a chance before the meeting, but on the table is the Route 47 project. It shows where trail and sidewalk is to be installed and what is 100% funded by the state, what would be a 20% match. So if you get a chance, you can look at that later this evening.
Mark, the question I had was the expansion of the bike trails, and just for clarification, at the last city council meeting, I asked residents of Ward 1 to contact me, and several of them did. And once again, I had some people calling for, I had more people calling against, and the referendums were both against. So, I'm going to uphold what people say, and I'm not voting for bike trails. It's plain and simple. However, I also don't want to delay the widening of Route 47 because I believe it's necessary and traffic is horrible and everybody knows that. There's an alternative reason for the expansion of the acquiring more of a right-of-way was twofold, if I understand it correctly. One was for sidewalks and one was for trails, correct?
Correct.
So if we appropriate for the sidewalks, which I think would be useful and beneficial to the residents, and not the trails, would that delay the project as well? Because the widening has already been...
Yes. I'm not sure if there'd be like a fractional reduction in the delay. You know, if we were to get rid of half the trails or half the total sidewalks or trails, if that would result in a 3-month delay. I can go back and ask. But in general, and if you look at the diagram, for every cross-section, one side is sidewalks and the other side is trails. So, you know, it's possible, it's probable that it would still result in a delay, even if we were to say we only want sidewalks or we only want trails. So your question was, would it still delay if you went with one or the other? And the answer is yes, in my opinion.
Could you verify that with
Yeah.
IDOT for us? I also have some comments, and are you done? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm really sorry that you had to inherit this $30,000. Again, this was open, transparent government that we didn't have with the last administration. I knew nothing about this $30,000. I don't know if any other council members were aware of this. I understand that the former mayor sent an email to, I don't know if all the council members got a copy, at 4:30 this afternoon, indicating that she signed a letter and she basically was Yorkville and approved this agreement with IDOT, which, again, I don't find that to be transparent, open government.
Just for clarification, Rose, the former mayor didn't send the email. We got the email with a copy of the attachment at 4:36 today with the letter from the former mayor. It wasn't an email from her.
Oh, okay, thank you. So we still didn't get that. And I am also not going to vote in favor of the bike trails. I am just so tired of what's been going on. Twice the residents voted no. We get non-residents in here talking about what we should do for our community, for our town. These are people that are not going to pay taxes on this, but it's easy for them to speak about it and try to direct us on how our residents are going to have to pay. I was in favor of widening 47. I did start that way back when, a petition. And also we got this bogus petition on the bike trail. And this petition had so many illegal things in it. We had people sign, first of all, the people that distributed the petition were mainly from Grays Lake, Lake in the Hills, Bartlett, Valparaiso, Indiana, Rockford, Wheatfield, and Chicago. And we had 2 local people that passed the petitions around. One was our former alderwoman, and she obtained 15 signatures. But on her circulator petition, 3 of them would have never been accepted because there was no address for the circulator, incorrect page numbers, and the 3rd one was also no address. And then we had another gentleman that was in here representing the union, and he obtained 52 signatures. Out of those, we also had signatures from residents of Bristol, Sandwich, Plano, several from Plano, Salmonock. I mean, why are these people allowed to tell us how to spend our money? Why were they even allowed to sign the petition? And then the petition was presented to council, and the former council approved it. And we didn't even get to look at it, but the majority did approve what I call a bogus petition. So that would be another reason why I am going to support the residents. I'm going to vote as they asked me to vote, and I will vote against the bike trails.
Well, I'd just like to say something about the petitions. The petitions weren't the basis of putting it on the ballot. It was, if we hadn't voted that way, they would have submitted it as a non-binding referendum, and then someone could have filed an objection to the signatures. So it really didn't have anything to do with my decision. But anyway, back in 2004, we had accepted a grant, the city council approved a grant application to get $100,000 to do an integrated transportation plan to spell out where, write down where these trails would be. And it was approved by the state. They gave us the money. So in 2008, we hired a firm, and it was approved by the city council, and they started working on this in 2008. So this is not anything new. The city council then approved we adopted the integrated transportation plan in 2009, and that was a unanimous vote. So from 2004 until 2009, the city council had a direction, and that was the direction. And now we have a new city council who has a new direction, and that's fine if that's the direction that the city wants to go in. But when you turn around a moving train in midstream, there's ramifications to that. And that's where we're at with the $30,000. So that's what they're asking, what do you want to do? There was a group of citizens that wanted to raise the money to help offset the cost to the residents, and that was squashed. And that's all I wanted to say was if we change directions in the middle, there's going to be ramifications. Do we want to accept those ramifications, or do we want to not and take care of this problem that we have right now? And that's just where we're at. But that was the direction that the city council had from 2004 until currently.
Why does IDOT have to change engineering? Why can't it remain the same even though the trails aren't going in? What if in the future we want to put the trails in? Like a year or 5 years from now. So if they change the engineering, will that eliminate that possibility? I just don't understand why it can't remain the same with that as a future project.
Sure, and Eric might be able to comment on this a little bit better, but my guess it simply has to do with the construction in the field, being not as it's designed. I'm sure that there are going to be areas where inlets are going to change, right-of-way is going to change.
Quantities and grading.
Okay, there you go.
Those are the biggest issues are quantities and grading. For that size of a project, if you go from a 10-foot wide trail to a 5-foot wide sidewalk, your quantities are going to change over the length of the project, which they have to then take, what they said, I believe, is every cross-section they have to take a look at and redo all the quantities. And that's what takes the time, because it's a 981-sheet plan set.
They couldn't just grade it that way for the future?
It's not just graded, it's quantities, the gravel,
okay.
that kind of thing, and the mass quantities of earth that come out and go back in. So that's what they were saying, was that every sheet has to be redone on that print.
Because they haven't bid the project yet either, so I'm sure the bidders are going to want to know what the actual specs are.
That's what it's item for the rest.
The problem I have with the analogy used about from 2004 that the city council approved this plan is that in 2004 the city council got to look at a menu. In 2011 the bill came due, and the residents say we don't want to pay for it. It's too expensive of a menu, and they have the right to say that. I understand that it costs to turn the train, halfway down the track, but then why did we even offer it as a referendum twice? If we're not going to listen to the residents, why are we even mocking them by putting it on a referendum and then saying, that's okay, we understand what you're saying, but we're just going to do what we think is best. So I don't find that to be a valid argument. Secondly, the problem I have with this private fundraising effort is that it's one thing to say that citizens are going to raise $116,000 to put in these trails. It's another to do it. I mean, people have been saying left and right that they're going to raise the money, they're going to raise the money, they're going to raise the money. I haven't seen any accounting, I haven't seen any amount of monies raised. I have no idea if they're 10% there, 20% there, or 99% there. So it's very easy to say we're going to raise $116,000 in the next few months to put in trails, but it's one thing to say it and it's one thing to do it. Finally, once again, with the number of emails and phone calls that I've received, it's clear the residents don't want to pay for these trails. Even if the money came in, which I find it very difficult to believe that you raised $116,000 in this short period of time. We're here to represent the voice of the people, and I think the people have spoken. Now I feel that the state of Illinois is coming to us and twisting our arm, saying this is what you have to do because we're the state of Illinois and this is what we want. If the state is going to force something upon us, then don't mock us by telling the city that we have a choice. So, they want to put this on the city, and it's the city's fault, and it's the previous administration or two administrations. It's not the city's fault. It's the state taking a position that they want to do something, and we're not agreeing, so now they're trying to twist our arm, and I don't appreciate it.
The one thing, additionally, I didn't put it in the memo, was we have, I think one of the speakers alluded to it, we have 5 or 6 projects, either widenings or reconstructions, set to come through our town in the next 5 to 15 years. They're in different phases of engineering. So what the IDOT staff relayed to us, and they were very respectful and very understanding of the potential change in direction, was that a decision made now will have impacts on how they approach us in the future when they come to do these Phase 1 engineering projects. They'll probably seek more of a commitment up front to us. They'll probably hold that to less of a solid standard, over the course of years until they actually have to bid out a project. So they did say in the nicest way possible that, this could impact their ability to do future projects in Yorkville, just in that it might be more expensive, it might take longer to do, and that was something they wanted to relate.
Diane, do you have something?
Yes, I did. Go ahead. I can't remember. Go ahead. I'll think of it. I got sidetracked.
Well, I have 2 additional things that I thought of. One is our revenue source, our budget in 2004. We had just a lot of revenue coming in, and that's why a lot of decisions were made at that time. Also, the other item I'd like to hit on was, again, we're slamming, not the previous mayor, but the one before that, saying that he didn't want to widen Route 47. And that is so untrue, and you can confirm that. As a matter of fact, he and I also went to Plano. We had a resolution with the Plano mayor and the council, and they voted in favor of widening Route 47. We conducted a meeting with our state legislators. We had Chris Lawson and a couple other people, and that mayor is the one that arranged this entire meeting. So we could widen Route 47. And he was also out there with current Mayor Galinsky getting signatures on the petition to widen Route 47. So again, we were just given misinformation, and I totally resent that as well.
I know what I was going to say. As far as the fundraising, we were just beginning. We went to the mayor. We went to Mayor Galinsky, talked to him. He was supportive of it. And then we started to have meetings to set up how we were going to do this and get organized. So we really hadn't raised any money. It was just starting. Before we could even get started, we were told, don't bother. So that's why there was no accounting done, because we hadn't even started before we were told, don't bother. We don't want your money. And as far as the referendums, we're asking to raise taxes to pay for the trails, to take bonds out to pay for the trails, not whether people wanted the trails or not. All through the time that was going on, I heard many comments. We are not opposed to trails. We want them. We just don't want our taxes raised. It's not a good time to raise our taxes for that. And that was the consensus. That's what I heard over and over again. So I just wanted to make that point clear.
Is the state current with what they owe us, with the payments like for taxes and that? like sales tax? I mean, are they current paying us?
Income tax is still 3 or 4 months behind from what I can recall. So IDOT is funded out of MFT dollars. That's motor
And is
fuel
it
tax.
MFT?
That is on time.
That's on time.
So, yes. Jumping back a couple questions to Alderman Colosimo, was your question about changing trails to removing them, or was it trails to sidewalks? I guess I was just replaying the question in my head, and I don't know if I heard it correctly.
Well, my question was if sidewalks were put in, and I believe some of the plans showed the sidewalks. So if we extend the sidewalk system to provide sidewalks, people don't have to walk on Route 47. Would that delay the project? Because here's the quagmire that we're stuck in right now. Okay, the residents have told us they don't want a bike trail. The residents have told us they don't want to pay for a bike trail. Okay, I agree. A lot of people want a bike trail. They just don't want to pay for it. And now IDOT is telling us, well, if you don't take the bike trail, we're going to push your project off to next year, and now you might not get Route 47 widened. And everybody wants Route 47 widened. There's a small group that don't, but the vast majority, including myself, wants Route 47 to be widened. So now they're putting us in this quagmire of, well, if you don't accept the bike trails, you don't get Route 47. And, by the way, we have 5 other projects hanging out there in the wind that you might or might not lose. And how, so now what?
Yeah.
That's the magic question. So now what?
So your original question was if we remove the trails but leave the sidewalks in as is, yes, that would still result in a delay. I'm sure they would still seek engineering those trails out. Where I was going with the answer, and I guess it doesn't really apply, but if you change the trails to sidewalks, there would still probably be a delay too, just because of the difference in construction between the trails and the sidewalks with quantities and grading, et cetera. But there probably wouldn't be a change in cost other than a slight increase, because sidewalks, while they're narrower because they're cement, they're actually more expensive to initially construct than trails. So that would be a delay and a potential cost increase from the current split that we have.
Okay, back to the quagmire, and now what? I agree. I mean, I don't really care who did what when. I don't care what the first mayor did. I don't care what the mayor before her did. The situation we're at right now, where do we go from here? I mean, I do care about Route 47. I do not want to see anything possibly delay the project. So again, I mean, like you said, we're between a rock and a hard place here. But that's what we have to deal with.
Well, the fact that we don't have to take a vote today obviously is good,
right.
Because once again, I go back. It goes back to the residents. It's not up to us. It's up to the residents. I mean, we just vote on behalf of the residents. Once again, I asked the residents of Ward 1 with this new information. This is new information that I didn't have 2 weeks ago. So with this new information, that it might possibly delay the expansion or eliminate the expansion of Route 47, are you willing to do it? I've got feedback from the meeting 3 weeks almost ago, and I would appreciate feedback from my residents, and I'll make my decision accordingly. So I asked the residents of Ward 1 to contact me based on this situation and give me some guidance, because that's what I'm here to do.
And just to let you know, too, kind of the timeline between the 2 different decision paths is because we've been down the track of trails are in the plan. If our decision a month from now is that the trails are still in the plan, there's no delay to that, even if we make that decision and reaffirm it a month from now. So the Phase 2 drawings, I think we just did our 3rd round of comments last week, and they're still in there as a result of that path. There's been no formal vote to remove them. And so IDOT still is moving along and moving forward with their plans, leaving them in. So there's no jeopardy to deciding a month and a half from now that we're going to keep them in. It's just the sooner we know that we definitely do not want them and that we're willing to pay that $30,000 is the sooner the timeline for them pulling those areas out of the plan starts. So, and then less of a delay.
Okay, anything else on this tonight? Because this will come back. This will be a continuing conversation.
Just, I want to make one point. The roughly $30,000 that we're talking about, if this should get delayed, that rate or that fee is not going to increase because that is what it will cost to change it. So we're not looking at that as being an increasing number up until September potentially.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't ask him that, but I couldn't imagine that would change.
So basically what we have to deal with is, are we going to delay the project based on this decision? So that fee would probably be set.
That I will ask.
All right, thank you.
have a question. So if the people who wanted to do the fundraising still want to continue doing that, do we only have to raise $85,000 now?
I would say that continue the fundraising. I mean, if you can continue to raise that and you can come up with a contingency factor, because the city is obligated, if we can have a contingency factor there, that's the biggest thing.
But again, Chris,
we are on the hook.
And when Diane came to me about this whole fundraising thing, private funds, I thought it was a good idea. But I said, you better get council buy-in before you proceed. And the council buy-in wasn't there. And if we did proceed with trails, I mean, I think a private fundraising effort is fantastic. You know, but, I mean, if the commitment isn't there, there's no need for them to go through that.
Yeah.
Anything else? All righty. We will bring this back. Moving on to Public Works Committee reports. Our chairman is not here. I will entertain the motion. A motion to approve an ordinance amending Title VI, Chapter 3 of the City Code regarding intersection signage control and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments or questions? Concerns? Roll call, please.
Teeling.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Leesmo.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have no Economic Development Committee report. How about no Public Safety Committee report? Admin Committee report.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance establishing the number of aldermen to serve on the city council and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute. Excuse me.
Second.
Any comments, questions on this?
Well,
Lead the way, Rose.
we did discuss this during committee, and we did not have to add additional aldermen. And the committee decided collectively, unanimously, that the most important thing would be to keep the aldermen in their current wards because the aldermen know the residents in their ward and vice versa. And also, top priority would, again, keep the aldermen in the existing wards, and the population would be secondary as far as redistricting. And I guess that we are going to, there's a whole memo in here talking about the procedures that we're going to take, where first of all, the priority would be to come up with a map. So the residents could come in, we'd have a public hearing, and they could view this map and submit their comments. And this is going to be first approved by the council, and our city staff is going to be preparing the map. Do we have any questions?
I just want to point out that state statute says that we have to do something about it. If we do nothing about it, we're going to have 10 aldermen in 5 wards. So we have to be proactive, take a look at this, pass the ordinance saying that we want 8 aldermen in 4 wards, keep it the way it is. We're obviously going to change the wards around a little bit. That's what we discussed in committee to balance out the population, because there's a ward with 800 rooftops and a ward with 2,400 rooftops, and you can't have that. But overall, we just want to not gerrymander it, not cut anybody out, keep everybody where they are, balance it out, and be done with it. So
We talked about this years ago, too, about when this first started, like Batavia went up to 22 aldermen. At one point, it was just so unmanageable. I don't know what they're down. They went all the way back down to 14, but it's like, you know, how many you need? You know, it's plenty of way we got it, I think.
Anything else? Roll call?
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Leesmo.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns. Olszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next item is, I'd like to make a motion to approve an ordinance approving participation in the Illinois Metropolitan Fund and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and actually, Rob is the one that educated us on this. IMET is a local government investment pool, and we have funds that are going to be coming in over the summer for our debt service. And Illinois Fund has a terrible rating right now. It is just 1% of 1%, almost nothing. And Mr. Frederickson said that IMET offers us a better rate on return and liquidity. It's just as safe as keeping money in the bank. And there's a 1 to 3 year fund. It has 5-day liquidity. It is strictly U.S. government securities. And it's just a different investment tool that we can utilize as property tax money comes in this summer. And this is going to require us to do a resolution. Did I miss anything?
No, you summed it up well.
Okay. Read it right from your memo. Anybody have any questions on this? And the committee unanimously approved this and sent it forth to City Council.
Okay, roll call.
Todd.
Aye.
Weisman.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to Park Board report. I will entertain a motion to approve a resolution approving a revised park rental and use policy and authorize the city clerk and mayor to execute.
So moved.
Any comments or questions on the revised park rental policy?
One line, first line on the, that we have here, I'm sorry, let me get back to it. There is a typo on the first line. I believe that we wanted to read the, instead of park, gazebo, shelter, non-athletic fields reservation policy, park rental and use policy.
Where are you at, Chris?
The first page of the
Actual policy?
actual policy.
Did you want to repeat that, please?
It says, we're retitling it to park rental and use policy. The first line says the park, gazebo, shelter, non-athletic field reservation policy.
Okay.
Just a quick.
So the title and the first line don't match up with what you're saying?
Exactly.
Got that?
That's throughout the document. Right?
Yeah, it's throughout the document where it's, so,
Yeah.
yeah. I see it again on another page. And
Yeah, so find and replace on this bill. And then we have another item on the agenda later for River City Roasters. When we have in here for the Bicentennial Riverfront Park amenities, list out the amenities that we have. It has item listed indoor classroom type space that can accommodate 50 people, sink and refrigerator available. Will those accommodations still be available if the River City Roasters would be approved?
No, we'll change it to probably accommodations for 10 to 20.
Okay.
There is still going to be a conference room space. So.
Okay. Something to be changed, just depending on what happens later.
Go ahead, Kyle.
The other concern I had on there is the same page that Alderman Funkhauser just referred to under the next part, Section 2. We're adding in a provision to allow alcohol, beer, and wine in our parks. I mean, that's a great deviation from where we currently are, where we do not allow alcohol in our parks. I do have a concern with that as far as we rent out gazebos, we rent out park space, and, these are still public parks. You're going to have people drinking wine and beer, and, obviously, with that comes intoxication. And I have no problem with the rest of the amendments, but this one with allowing the beer and wine on city park premises, I find problematic.
And I have to apologize for that. That sentence is actually already in the policy, so it's not changing it. What happened is I was editing a Word document, and I was editing it off of an older version, and the deputy clerk came to me and said, oh, hey, this section was already approved because there was I think there was a private event that had rented Riverfront Park a couple years ago and was serving alcohol on the premises. We said we need to make sure this is allowed in there because there are still time-to-time events that do serve alcohol in the park when they're permitted. So River Night is one of them. Hometown Days obviously is another one. And then if there's an Oktoberfest, that would be a third one. So that's the only purpose for this. It has nothing to do with us selling it out of concession stands.
Okay. So it would still be under the approval of the mayor, obviously, before that permit gets issued, as the liquor commissioner.
Correct.
I hope the mayor uses that judiciously.
Just like last Friday night, Music of the Stars.
Right.
In Town Square Park,
They had wine.
wine tasting.
Yep.
That's all for special events.
And is it special events of the city only, or is it like the Smith family can rent out a gazebo and get a liquor license?
If the Smith family submits a plan to the mayor that he finds is acceptable and appropriate, then he would issue a temporary liquor license.
But it's not just city events. I mean, like Oktoberfest was Optimist Club, River Night is Chamber of Commerce. So there are other organizations.
Well, if it's already in, we're not amending it, so I guess I don't have a say. It's already in the policy.
So do we need to amend the motion at all, or?
No, not the motion. I don't think you need to amend it. I think you need to approve it as understood, because it was just typos in various areas. Yeah. So I think you're okay.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on this? Alrighty, roll call.
Colesimo.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Bunkhauser.
Aye.
Cott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, I would like to entertain a motion to approve an ordinance approving a lease agreement with River City Roasters, northern portion of 131 East Hydraulic Avenue, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute. Don't all jump at once.
So moved. Second.
Did you get that?
It's okay.
Do we have any comments, questions, concerns?
I do. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, several things. First of all, the lease agreement is only with River City Roasters and Illinois Corporation. It's not with the actual individuals. So this is a brand-new corporation, from what I know, that was established for this adventure. And I believe the individuals should be on the lease as well. So we don't want them to dissolve their corporation next week and say, sue a defunct corporation with no assets. Where are we going to go? So we can't obviously go after the individuals. Secondly, the purpose needs to be fixed. I mean, if you look on paragraph 1 for purpose, it says that they have exclusive privilege to sell ice creams, candies, soft drinks, popcorn. We just approved a popcorn stand right next to them, and now we're giving them exclusive privilege to sell popcorn. So we have to clean up obviously we need to clean up the purpose of this agreement. I would prefer that we give them no exclusive rights to sell anything, because if we want to bring in a new vendor later on, a cart, anything else, free market, let them compete. So the purpose needs to be changed. And finally, I did get some feedback from some people regarding this, and even though we approved it for the popcorn establishment, the possibility of subleasing, I think, needs to go back to the park board itself. I don't think it should be at the discretion of one individual, the department head of Parks and Recreations. I think it should go back to the park board and have them as a board approve a sublease rather than one individual. So those are the 3 modifications I would like to see. I understand that in the lease agreement under paragraph H, it says the lessee does not have exclusive rights to concession operations, but that is obviously contradictory to the purpose, which is in paragraph 1, and then we don't want to leave it to some court to
Are we on a time
interpret.
deadline on this?
I know that the potential leasee, would prefer to be in yesterday.
Is
So
the lessee present?
yes.
Is the lessee willing to amend this lease to sign it as an individual?
Yes, River City Roadshow is not a corporation.
Well, it says on here, an Illinois blank. I assumed they were going to put in corporation, proprietorship, LLC, something was going to be inserted into the blank, so.
As a partnership, I signed it.
I just wanted that clarified in the lease that the individuals are liable for the lease, obviously.
May I make the following suggestions then? That the lease be approved with the understanding that the signatory shall be the individual owner, number one. Number two, that the first line of the purpose paragraph shall say, it is the intent of this agreement to provide a non-exclusive privilege. And number three, subletting shall be approved by the Board of Parks and Recreation. And so with those amendments, the City Council may consider approval.
I'm good with that. Everyone else good with that?
The one thing with the exclusive, non-exclusive use, the park rental and use policy that we just approved contemplates vendor permits being issued to people to operate mobile food carts within the park. That policy is set up such that we wouldn't approve somebody to compete with one of the units that's in there. So there is sort of an exclusive, it's like an unofficial exclusive right to be able to do that. Doesn't mean that we can't go back and change that policy in the future. It's just the way the policy is written right now is we would not issue another ice cream cart, popcorn vendor to come into Riverfront Park.
Right, and that's a separate city policy that we can change at any time. But I don't want the lease to lock us into an exclusive policy. So we have the flexibility in the future if we decide to do that.
Anything else? Oh, so approve the motion with those changes. Roll call, please.
Spears.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Olszewski.
Aye.
Teal.
Aye.
Schaffhauser.
Aye.
Pratt.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the last park board item is a 2011 OSLAD grant application for Bicentennial Riverfront Park. And it looks like Scott and Laura are prepared to speak to it.
Yeah. This is the same grant we actually applied for last year and were turned down. The 2011 grant cycle project program has just been open. It is due by July 1. So we're really resubmitting the grant that we were turned down for last year with a few changes. One of the changes is we're asking for $2 for the boat canoe launch, partly because the boat and canoe launch grant that we applied for has no funding. Some of the items that we wanted to include in this are brickwork on the stairs on the existing shelter, a playground area or sitting area, a fishing pier that is ADA, lighting extension to the east side of the park, shared use trail, canoe access beach, small picnic shelters, a memorial area, some woodland restoration to the east side, an outdoor rinse-off shower area, and a shelter for a portable toilet / changing facility. We are going to be using some forced labor, and we are also going to be having our designer do the design work on this, so there's some fees involved with that as well. That if we do fall short on the dollars that we anticipate spending to get these projects done, we can turn around and claim those within the grant. This is a 50% matching grant. We're going to be using land to match our grant. So it's going to be, with the exception of front funding this project, we should receive all the dollars back on this project that it costs to do it. All of the elements in this park were expressed by either the public, park board, city council, and or our grant coordinator with the IDNR, who had expressed that we might want to massage it to get a better score with the IDNR, which would help us get the grant. So I guess with that, there is a memo that's attached. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Well, two things. So right now, you're just asking us for the authorizations to apply for the grant, correct?
Well, actually, technically, ask for the authorization at the next meeting because it has not come up. So it will go back to the board and then it'll come back to the authorization. We just wanted to give you guys more coordinated.
And this one here is the before, and the one we have in our packet is the after? Because they don't match, is that correct?
They should both be from, oh, you know what, you're right. This one is the gravel storage area. This is the existing condition.
Yeah, because that one doesn't have a fishing pier or...
Right. This is the existing condition. The one you have in the packet is actually the plan.
Okay.
The conceptual plan that was approved back in March.
And keep in mind, even in the conceptual plan, not all of the elements are included.
Okay.
We kind of had to cherry pick based on what Park Board's input was, what City Council's input was last year, and some of what we've heard from the public.
Did you say we have to front fund $50,000?
No, we have to front fund the entire project. That's the way OSLIC works, where you actually pay for it, you finish the project, and turn around and ask for reimbursement.
And you have that money in the budget?
It'll be approved as part of a budget, so if it gets accepted, we would have the cash flow to be able to do that until a budget is approved with those expenses in there.
And what is the penalty if we are awarded this grant? Is there a penalty associated with it if we don't come up with the funding? Is that the 2-year?
Yeah, typically, I mean, the state doesn't like that, but typically you have 2 or 3 years to build the project to get it started. And then if you don't and decide to tell the state, hey, we really don't want this project, you're probably going to have to wait 2 years before you can reapply for a grant.
Again, there's going to be no budgetary impact to adding the project. It's just a cash flow situation. And for $400,000 spaced over a couple fiscal years, probably being able to do that shouldn't be a problem to do. And corrected.
So we just match it with our land? That was
Correct.
it?
And they're willing to take our, it's the Cortland's property, it's the property that's currently being held by Cortland's, which is the Blackberry Creek property, which is approximately 80 acres. We would be using roughly 30 acres of that based at the latest estimate of what we've gotten of what the value of that land is.
Now, don't we pay an annual fee for that property to Cortland's, so they hold it for us?
We do. I don't know what that number is off the top of my head.
It's
I thought it was 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And the idea is we were holding it for this purpose. That's the whole idea of why we're holding it.
So we no longer would have to pay them the $10,000 either, correct? Or
we would probably have to pay a smaller portion because it'd be a smaller. They would still probably hold the other portion of land. So if we use 30, they'd be still holding 50 acres for us to hopefully use at a future date to match another grant or something of that nature.
So today we're not taking any action. I assume it's going to go back to Park Board, and this is just for information only?
Any comments or questions that we can take back to Park Board?
Any kind of direction that we are going to allow staff to go forward with this grant application. I mean, there's a amount of work that goes into it. Any other questions, comments? All righty then, see you in 2 weeks.
We'll make sure we have the right drawing.
And that is it for Park Board. Not for the meeting. Next we have Plan Commission report. So where I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending the definition of subdivision in the Yorkville Subdivision Control Ordinance and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
All yours, Christie.
Thank you. I wanted to give you a little background. If you recall the last meeting of City Council, we talked about this in terms of the Planning Commission. They did hold their public hearing
explain to them that your subdivision is already defined in the subdivision control ordinance and relates to land that is already been legally platted. So there was a little bit of confusion there. If you do staff certification right now is to approve the initially proposed amendment staff requested. But if you want us to revisit the definitions portion of the plan of the subdivision control ordinance, you can definitely, guide staff to do that. But our recommendation is to keep the original, proposed definition amendment.
I trust staff's recommendation. Instead of going back and reviewing everything again and changing it, I understood this. I thought it was good, so I'm good with it.
Do you have something, Chris? You good?
I'm good with it as it is.
He's a planner. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know what.
We're in trouble. He knows.
Anyone else on this? Roll call, please.
Martins?
Aye.
Roshinski?
Aye.
Teeling?
Aye.
Funkhauser?
Aye.
Pratt?
Aye.
Gleason?
Aye.
Spears?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have no zoning board of appeals report. There was no ZBA meeting, correct? City council report, no report. City clerk report. City treasurer's report, no report. Community and liaison reports. Anyone? Ms. Spears.
Okay, I had another report from the Northeastern Illinois Area on Aging. And the Illinois House and Senate started the process of revenue projections. Performance-based outcomes are now necessary. Better communication with our legislators is definitely needed. In the state's general revenue funds, there is only 75% of the state's budget allocated for services. And out of that 75%, 2% is going to the aging services. There's a projected 20% reduction in the general revenue fund. Home-delivered meals would receive a 6 to 9% reduction, and I think that should be a little awakening since we have so many additional people now that are going to the food pantry, and now they're talking about conducting or cutting the seniors' home. And it's not only seniors, it's people that are also disabled. And now they're talking about reducing the amount in the budget for that. And over the next 4 years, Medicaid-related service funds have been projected to increase from $8.9 to $11 billion, but non-Medicaid services, which includes various aging services, had been projected to be reduced from $4.6 to $2.3 billion. And again, I would like to encourage everybody to contact their legislators and urge them to please fund the aging services appropriately. The approximate cost of a home-delivered meal is $7.25, and that doesn't compare to the cost of $365 a month for a homemaker to prepare a meal, or nursing home care at approximately $61,000 per month. So clearly it proves that community-based services are less costly and are effective for those served. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, June 15th, at Heritage Woods of Yorkville, they're going to be having a bingo hour for all the residents, and the public is also invited to come and participate. And they're going to be offering prizes that have a value of $25, and also they're going to be giving tours of the facility. And that's Heritage Woods of Yorkville. That's it.
Anyone else? I have a couple items. As most of you probably know by now, River Road Bridge is closed. It was closed last week. 2 weeks ago. After it was closed, Representative Hatcher called a meeting to gather up all the players involved from the city, the county, Congressman Holgren's office, Army Corps of Engineers, IDOT. So we had the meeting last week, and I'm really grateful to Representative Hatcher because she was able to get everyone, all the high-level people, in a room at the same time to discuss options, see where we can go from here. And it was a good discussion, more of a brainstorming session, informative session, to get everyone on the same page and start discussing options and what can be done. And it was very productive. I think in that hour and a half, we probably accomplished more than could be accomplished in a month of phone calls and emails. Currently, there's really nothing to report on because, like I said, it was brainstorming to see what options are available to us. The direction that was given was for the county's engineer to Hutchinson, the firm that's doing the Phase 1 engineering for the reconstruction, to kind of shift our focus from Phase 1 engineering to the stability of the abutments and see what we can and cannot do. So we are going to meet again next month and take it from there. And we should have more information after that. But rest assured that it's everyone's top priority. Everyone is working together. And like I said, it was a very good, productive meeting to get everyone in that room together at the same time. I did attend my first mayor's and managers meeting that was hosted by Kendall County. The topic of that was economic development by the county and what they're doing to kind of partner with the municipalities. They did have one round table out at Whitetail Ridge to bring some business leaders and other leaders in the area together to kind of talk about economic development and how we can partner. They did open up their own economic development office in the county, so they're going to be having future meetings with the municipal economic development corporations and see how we can better partner together. So that's a positive step in the right direction, I think. And the last item is the next baseball with the mayor is going to be June 21st at Bristol Bay Ball Field number 2. That is at the intersection of Seminole and Tallahassee. I know there are two Florida names. I think it's Seminole and Tallahassee. But it's a field not by the Bristol Bay School. There's a new field there. So feel free to come out, discuss any issues with me, watch some baseball, offer up suggestions. I will be there from 6 to 7:30. And that's all that I have.
I had one more thing, Mayor. I attended the library board meeting last night, which obviously you were present, and in speaking with the library board, one of the things that they're having an issue with right now is previously when they received impact fees from developers, it's restrictive as to how they can use those fees. Right now it's restricted to basically brick and mortar projects, so they can't use it to buy books, advanced technology, things like that the library wishes to do. So one of the things they asked me to talk about, and I will be bringing up in administration and planting the seed there, but I wanted to give everybody the heads up just in case you had any input, wish to discuss it, is for us to change our ordinance as far as how they are allowed to use the impact fees from developers in the future. Obviously, we can't retroactively change it, to allow them to give them more flexibility with that money to buy books and technology and maybe replace older items they can't necessarily do with the way the ordinance is drafted. So that's something that's coming down the line on behalf of the library board. I just want everybody to know, and I think Attorney Fieldmore might have something to say about that.
Fortunately, Bart called me today to say that question was coming, so I had a little advance warning. And the law on it is very interesting, and we do have a later resolution that was adopted to allow these impact fees, in fact, to be utilized for CDs, books, DVDs, et cetera, et cetera. The law is that if the impact fees are not a part of an annexation agreement, but a part of a local ordinance, it has to be fees, the money collected has to be kept separately and used solely and only for the impact of that development. Okay, that's one way. However, if the fees are negotiated as a part of an annexation agreement, we have total flexibility. So what Bart and I discussed this afternoon is to look and see what impact fees were collected post-2003 when the new resolution ordinance was adopted by the City Council that expanded the use of impact fees, and to see if most of the monies now the library has are a result of annexation agreements from 2003. We're good to go.
That would be great.
And we do have on the books
what we need. If it's not pursuant to an annexation agreement, we have serious restrictions, and that's the law of the state of Illinois. But I think in our instance, most of them are annexations, so we may be good to go.
Great. Thank you. And any other community or liaison reports? Staff report.
Defer to my Public Works Director on Emerald Ash Borer.
We put out a press release today regarding Emerald Ash Borer. Many of you might know in some of your boards we've been tagging the trees with pink ribbons. We're well over 100 ribbons now and still going strong, mainly on the south side of town. I do want to let everyone know that it's here for good and here to stay. It eventually will kill every ash tree that we own. So we're going to be bringing it forward to Public Works with some different options for getting rid of them properly. But I just want to let everyone know that if the residents ask, that's what the pink ribbons are, is their tree. They are the lucky winner of Emerald Ash Borer tree.
How do you, like in a mature tree, how do you know they have it? What's an indication?
Mature tree, I've only seen one, and it was very obvious. It was in the latter stages where the whole top, you'll really notice the canopy start to get thin first. That's the first signs of it going, because there's such an area that they could live in that it's hard to see on some of those trees. That's one of the first signs, and then we just go look for the little holes, the little D-shaped holes, and we go look for just other simple signs and pick the bark back and start looking.
And two, switch trees, elm trees, Dutch elm trees. Dutch elm is still around. What do you do if there's a tree in your neighborhood that has it on private property?
Private property, if it does end up, I actually called the Department of Agriculture on Dutch elm. I don't know much about it. If they come out and diagnose it with Dutch elm, then we do have an ordinance in place that the owner, I believe, has 30 days to dispose of the tree properly.
So if you know of a tree in that might be in that situation.
Just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
The leaves get very thin. It starts to die back. That's all I have.
Any other staff reports? Any additional business? Marty?
Can me too? On the 25th, Saturday, between 11 and 2 o'clock, Alderman Munns and myself are having an award meeting over at the Rush Copley Health Center. So anybody from the ward or even other residents are invited to come out, talk about city issues, and meet your alderman.
With the one-way traffic out there.
Any other additional business? All righty, we do have a lengthy executive session to go into. Another area I'm trying to streamline, but we're not quite there yet. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session for employment, litigation, collective negotiating matters, and acquisition, sale of real property.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You need roll call? Roll call, please.
Spears.
Aye.
Aye.
Police
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Teeling. Aye. Funkhauser.
Aye.
Munns.
Now, we do have one action item after executive session, and that is the CC 2011-59, resolution adopting IMRF early retirement incentives.